Hello and welcome to Crafty Concepts with Erin. Today I'm going to put together a single page layout featuring these two photos of my son. I have several leftover pattern papers from the Feels Like Home collection, and I cut this circle element from the Artistry cartridge using the Indian corn blue cardstock from my stash. I'm just going to move the pictures around the layout just to see which configuration looks the best, and I think I like them over here. But then I completely change gears and decide to do something slightly different. So just layering up some of the pattern papers behind my pictures, and then I decide to cut out the arrow element of the circle and just kind of partially tuck it behind the pattern papers there. I really like how the gray flannel pattern paper kind of mimics the gray flannel he's wearing in the photo, and then the blue is inspired by his blue jeans. I cut the hashtag awesome title from my Cricut cartridge just using some of the black cardstock, and then the arrow element, and then I also cut some, well, I have the tag I cut here on the cartridge as well, but I have these little kind of gears or cogs that are from the Artistry cartridge, which I'm not sure is still around. I'll have to research that one to see if it's still available. So these are the compliments that come with the So Much Happy sheet, and I want to add to the title here and just kind of bring down that blue color. Using the stickers, I'm going to temporarily place them on this parchment paper, and the title will read, "This Kid is Awesome." I like the way the arrow kind of points, it leads your eye from his picture down to the title. It's kind of a fun little way to just lead your eye around the layout. So before I get much further along, I'm going to tack these papers down and then just put a little bit of adhesive on the back so it's not moving around on my workspace. So I'm just going to get everything situated back into place. And if you notice the way I've positioned the two photos, his body is slightly angled in each one, and I made it so they angle in towards each other. It just helps kind of center the layout, and I don't think it would have looked as nice had I put them in the opposite location where he would have been facing away from himself in each picture. So they're subtle little details, but I think they make a big impact in the long run. So just something to consider when you're evaluating your photo placement. I know for a lot of us scrapbookers that have boys, it can be a bit of a challenge to come up with embellishments for boy pages. It seems to be a little bit easier to create more feminine layouts because you can use a lot of vibrant colors. There's floral elements and butterflies, hearts, I mean just all sorts of possibilities that don't lend themselves well to a more masculine page. So this one did kind of take me a while to plan out, but then I just kind of cut some embellishments like the arrow and the spokes and cogs, and I thought, these will be fun to utilize on this more masculine page. But then I have a person commented that they have a daughter who is very much into STEM class and loves anything science, math, and technology, and they were going to do a similar layout to kind of capture that personality about their daughter. So it's you can still use these embellishments for just about anything, even though they do tend to be a little bit more masculine. So moving on, I'm just going to apply this Tombow liquid adhesive to get my title tacked down into place. And I'm using some new tweezers I just ordered off of Amazon. I've been scrapbooking a long time, and for some reason I just did not have tweezers in my stash. And I went ahead and ordered them, and I'm not sure how I lived without them. These are just some tweezers I got again off of Amazon from their, I believe, EK Tools is the brand, and they weren't very expensive. And like I said, I'm not sure why I never had these in my tool stash, because they are very helpful in keeping glue off of your fingers. This little zip strip is left over from the Something Fierce paper pack, so it just coordinated perfectly. And again, these are some scraps. I always hang on to my scraps because you can just use them in, you know, even the tiniest scrap. I'm just going to tuck this under the paper here and rip out a little section so that the black and white stripe shows through. I already did a little piece on the lower left corner, and I apologize for not capturing that on camera, but it's just a great way to add a little interest on the edges of the paper there. I printed out my journaling on the computer and cut it into strips here, and it just says, "Hayden at 14 is such an awesome kid. He has a quick wit and hilarious sense of humor, and always gets us all laughing," which is just so true. He's such a comedian all the time. So I'm just going to get these all glued down into place, and then I decide to add a third little spoke here, and I did it in a different color. This is just a silver paper that I had in my stash left over from a holiday collection, and I'm gonna pop this one up on some foam tape just to kind of lift it up off the page and give a little dimension. So I like to do my clusters in odd numbers most of the time, so I think that third little spoke up there just kind of finished that off nicely. And I have some blue thread, so I'm just going to wrap this around my fingers and make kind of a little nest and just tuck it behind the photo. And it just, again, it adds some texture and a little pop of color. And then I'm going to go ahead and balance that out by doing another one on the right hand side of the page. And then just run a little bit of glue, and that's all you need to keep that secure. Thread is a really inexpensive way to, again, add texture and color, and it comes in any color you can imagine. So I just like to have that on hand. And again, we're going to pop up this silver spoke over here just to kind of mirror the one on the left hand side of the page. And then get this little strip down that's underlining my title. So I'm pretty happy with the layout, but I think I just want to doodle around the edge of this gray flanneled paper just to help give it a little definition to the edge there, just to help separate it from the white pattern paper behind it, because they are both kind of light colors. This just helps it to stand out a little bit more. I've decided to pull out one of my stamps from my stash, and I'm just going to stamp the word dude on this white piece of cardstock and then just fussy cut around the edges there, so I can just tuck this little element in next to his photo. Just give a little bit more detail there and use my stamps. Okay, here is the finished project. I hope you enjoyed watching today's process video. Be sure to click like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next week. And for more information, you can visit me on my blog at craftyconceptswitherin.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.